afternoon. Thanks for being here. We've had a very busy few weeks here. We've had a couple of balls up in the air, and one of the more important parts was putting together and completing our staff. And I'm pleased to announce today, officially, and I know it's probably one of the worst kept secrets out there, our offensive coordinator and Mike Denbrock. First and foremost, Mike is a good friend, just a great colleague, a football coach that has been with me a number of years. And when I talked about the selection of Brian Van Gorder, we go back 25 years. Incidentally, Mike was a defensive coordinator for me as well, so he's been on both sides of the ball. And obviously this year did a great job of taking over the reins as offensive coordinator for the Pinstripe Bowl. Brings a great deal of experience as a football coach, a great developer of football players at all positions. He's coached virtually all the positions for me, a great understanding of the offense that we want to run, and certainly has my trust in putting together the offense on a day-to-day basis for us. So he'll lead the offense and put it together on a day-to-day basis for us. So really excited about having Mike lead the offense as our offensive coordinator. Also, we've hired Matt LaFleur as our quarterback coach. And again, I couldn't be more excited about having Matt join us at that position. Go back a number of years with Matt as well. First, got a chance to watch Matt as a player. Just a great competitor. Loved the way he played the game, and really respected the way that he competed. Was a great competitor, and then was able to hire him when I was at Central Michigan. Did a great job developing a dual threat quarterback that we had at Central Michigan, and Dan LaFleur. I loved the way he was able to communicate with him and build a great relationship with him. And then he got a chance to go out on his own and work his way in this profession to where he was with the Redskins for the last 4 years and did a terrific job developing a couple of NFL quarterbacks, and Robert Griffin and Kirk Cousins and Rex Grossman. So to have him here at Notre Dame, I think we've really got a great quarterback coach, a great young quarterback mind and understanding the entire position, and he'll fit very, very well with what we do here at Notre Dame. So we've completed the staff in a sense in terms of all the openings that we had. We'll continue now to work on some of the off-field positions that were open. We have one more graduate assistant that we have to hire, but I think today with Mike Denbrock as our offensive coordinator, Matt LaFleur, very excited to announce both of these hires. So with that, I'll take a couple of questions, and then we'll bring down Mike and Matt and open up to any questions.
With you wanting to be more involved with the offense and wanting to call plays again, how do all these responsibilities knit together? Is Matt going to coach, for example, Golson or the starting quarterback, and how does it all fit?
Yeah. On a day-to-day basis, Matt will be with the quarterbacks. He'll be in the quarterback room. I'll sit in the quarterback room as well, but Matt will have the autonomy of running those meetings. I'll be there as a resource. It's important that you're always communicating with the quarterbacks so they know what I'm thinking as well. But Matt will be in charge of developing those quarterbacks and having the day-to-day responsibilities of making sure that all of that information is passed on to them. So have great trust and confidence that he'll do that on a day-to-day basis. Mike will put it all together. He'll oversee the entire offense and really set the table and making sure that all of that is put together and laid out there so we can have a great Saturday and moving the ball effectively offensively.
Brian, just to clarify, you are going to call the plays this year?
Yes.
Is there a reason why you decided to go back? You missed it, or you think you can do a better job of it, or what's the reasoning behind it?
I think a couple of reasons. One, we're transitioning back to an offense that, I feel is best suited for the personnel that we have. And I think it's important to really get that philosophy and influence back into the offense. And I know it the best. And then once we're able to lay that in there, I think it will give everybody a great visual look at what we want this offense to look like. And I think it starts with me. And so I think it's important that, if I want that offense to have the look, it's important that I have the influence in it in some fashion, and this is the best way to do it.
Could you describe a little bit what you want the look to be?
Well, I think it starts with the quarterback and his ability to be a playmaker within the offense, and an offense that, certainly at times, we really have been able to craft it to fit the player behind the center, and I think what I'm looking for in particular is somebody that can make some things happen outside the pocket. We've been driven behind the tackles for the last couple of years. We'd like to be a little bit more dynamic outside the pocket.
Brian, on the topic of the player behind the center, what reports have you got back from Paul about what kind of shape Everett returned in and just sort of his outlook and sort of where he's moving forward from here?
The reports have been good. I mean, physically, he's put on a lot of weight. He's stronger, more mature, something that we would expect. But it's January 31st, so there's a long way to go. And I know we're always in this rush to move to Everett, but I just want to caution everybody that we have, I think a very good quarterback in Malik Zaire as well. And I'm not ready to hand everything over to Everett. I love Everett. He played in the national championship game. I'm like everybody here. But I'm also somebody that wants to make sure that the quarterback position is such, especially with Matt now with us, that we give everybody an opportunity to compete for that position. And Malik's going to get that chance as well. So Everett's doing great. He looks physically like he should be at this time. And the reports have been great, and we're very, very excited. But I do want to caution everybody, including anybody that's around the program and our players in particular. I'll use this opportunity to do that. This is a pretty good quarterback that we didn't play this year, Malik Zaire, that's going to get a chance too.
Off the top of your head, do you know injury updates, guys who had shoulders done, et cetera, things like that?
I think all of those guys, all the shoulder guys, are doing very, very well. Two guys in particular have exceeded all expectations, and that's Ben Council and Nick Martin. If they walk through here right now, you would not know they had surgery. They are well ahead of schedule, so we're very, very pleased there. Jared Grace's situation, he's still progressing, but he broke that bone in 4 places. So that is a little bit slower in developing, but he's making progress there with what was a very complicated fracture. But he's making progress. I think we feel pretty good about all the guys that had surgery at this point. I think the one guy that still needs to continue to develop is Jarrett, because that bone being fractured in 4 places is still, getting there.
And did you have guys who had additionally things done after the season?
Well, you heard Butler, obviously he tweeted that out. So he had surgery, but we don't expect that to be anything. That was more, we went in there and tightened some things up. Not as complex of a surgery. He should be fine for us.
And just lastly, big picture with the staff and kind of reinventing it a little bit. Was this, on the offensive side of the ball, was this a fairly easy process for you? Did you feel like you reached out to a lot of people to gauge where you should go, or did you sort of know immediately what you wanted to do with Mike and Matt?
I think it really came down to what I wanted to do more than anything else, whether I wanted to be involved in play calling or not this year. And I think once I had made that decision that I wanted to be involved in play calling, it made it pretty easy to what I wanted to do.
Up here, Brian. You mentioned Malik. Can you specifically list some of the positive characteristics that you saw during the fall that leads you to believe that he's ready to compete with a guy that played in the national championship game?
Yeah, when we get into game situations, he makes plays. Practice, sometimes, you know, he tends to be a little mechanical and, you know, makes some mistakes that you wish that he didn't make over. But when the lights go on, I know that's an overused phrase, but when he gets into competitive situations, he makes plays. And you love your quarterback to be a playmaker. He's got all the intangibles. He's got a strong arm. He's physically gifted. He's the first one in, the last one to leave. You can count on him. You can put everything on him, and he's all about football. And so there's a lot of traits that he carries with him that when it's a competitive situation, he really rises his level of play. And I think you could go back to the spring game last year as a mid-year enrollee. He looked his best in the spring game. He didn't practice all that well, but in the spring game, when it's a competitive situation, he rises up.
Is that frustrating for a coach when a guy doesn't practice as well as you would like him to or expect him to, based upon how well he performs when the spotlight's a little bit brighter?
Well, I think it's a good question, and I think what I had to do is change a little bit my approach to the way I coached him. So as I became, when it was apparent that I had to go in and spend more time with him, coaching him, we changed the way we coached him. In other words, when we were running a play, we had him run the play as well against air. And that really helped him a lot. So sometimes it's a matter of how you teach somebody. And I think what we had to do is we really had to find out what clicked for Malik. And I think that made all the difference in the world. So it was frustrating, but sometimes when it's frustrating, when a kid makes plays in games, sometimes you got to look at yourself and the way you're coaching him. And I think when we did that and found out some of the ways that we could coach him differently, made a lot of difference. And I think we'll continue to do that with him.
And one of the things that Chuck Martin had said about Malik, and I think it might have dated back to the spring, about how quickly he grasped the concepts and understood the big picture of the offense. Did that continue as you went into the fall?
It did. Now, we lost him a little bit, quite honestly. You know what I mean? You know, when he sees himself as number 3.5, you know, and not getting in and not getting a lot of reps, you lose a kid's concentration a little bit. And we lost him there for about 4 or 5 games. And once we got his attention back, it was clear that he had a pretty good knowledge base of what we wanted to do. So I would tell you that by the end of the year, when we were quizzing him and saying, hey, listen, you have to be ready here, we felt like he had a pretty good knowledge base.
And if I could revert back to a couple of those injuries, and I think you've commented on before, but Barati, where is he?
You know, he's going to be ready. If we're playing a football game in April, he's cleared to play. Whether we put him in full contact because of a second surgery, I think that's still questionable. We may want to just ride right through the spring and have his first contact be in the fall. But if we were playing, he'll be cleared to play.
And speaking of shoulders, Doug Randolph?
Excellent. He'll be full, and he will contact in the spring.
And Hanratty left the late in the Pinstripe Bowl. Was that a blow to the head?
It was.
And he's fine
Cleared.
as far as you know?
Cleared, yes.
Montelus?
Excellent. You know, again, he was right on the edge of contact in December. we probably could have pushed some contact at that point, so he'll be full for everything that we do. And again, as you know, we're going early this year. We open up on March 3rd, so he'll be full go and ready to compete.
Right. And last one, Hounshell.
Yes, excellent. And again, somebody that we could have, and I think we discussed that we could have done some things with him, but with a second surgery, we wanted to err on being cautious.
Okay. Thank you.
You'll have nothing. How could you?
One defensive question.
Hit it.
There's been a lot of the recruits have talked about maybe more of an emphasis on 4-3 than 34. I'm wondering, is that the truth? Are you still going to be multiple, and is 4-3 going to be your base moving forward?
No, we'll still operate out of our base 3 down, and my philosophy and Brian's have not changed. We're still going to be about 50-50, and we've averaged that out accordingly. So it'll just look. It's always going to be personnel driven relative to your defensive structures, but we're going to be both 3 down and 4 down.
Right. How much did Matt's experience with Robert Griffin help him in you making that decision to bring him in with the guys you have?
I think that's part of, when you're looking at the position itself, what are you looking for? You're looking for somebody that is a experienced play caller. Are you looking for somebody that's experienced in the passing game? Or are you looking at somebody that's had a varied background in developing quarterbacks? And so that experience with 2 young quarterbacks in Cousins and Griffin were certainly important in this situation, because that's what I was looking for. You're going to have Everett, who's still really in his second year, Malik Zaire. You've got a young guy coming in, whoever, right? And so now you have a similar situation, and Matt's already experienced that kind of scenario again. So it made a difference in that. That's what I was looking for. When I was going through the interview process, the words that I was looking for weren't, "I got more routes for you," "I can teach you the drive route," or "I got a great curl route for you," or "I like to call this on 3rd down." Those really didn't resonate with me in the interviewing process. Great relationships, footwork, body position, balance. Those were the words that resonated in the interview, and Matt hit every single one of those.
With those type of players where you can get outside the pocket and more dynamic playmaker at quarterback, do you need a newer kind of quarterback coach to coach those and teach those fundamentals?
No, not necessarily. But I think what we're talking about is, from an offensive standpoint, Matt he's had that quarterback as well, and he'll go back to his experience as a quarterback. That's what he did. He's used to being outside the pocket, and then at Central Michigan with Dan LaFleur. So he was very familiar with what I like to do offensively when we talk in those terms as well.
And then with both him and Denbrock, guys you're obviously very familiar with and have coached with in the past. How do you balance bringing guys you're familiar with, which you've done a lot, and trying to infuse new ideas or get fresh ideas in the room?
Well, I think just because we're familiar does not mean that we're not open to clinicking. We do a great amount of clinicking outside these walls. All of our coaches go out on the road and clinic and get with other staffs, and we do that yearly. So we're always looking outside our own walls to bring in other ideas. I've always considered my offense, the coast-to-coast offense. I've stolen great ideas from one coast to the other, and that's really what this is about, is that we look to find about great ideas that can help our offense, and we'll continue to do that. So they'll bring in great ideas that will continue to strengthen what we do offensively.
One quick one. Tony Springman, you had mentioned that he had had a setback with the infection there and his progress.
It's much better. You know, he's moving around quite well, and we'll see where it moves. But you know, we're hoping that we're going to get a lot out of him moving forward. He you know, again, one of those things with the surgery, he had an infection, he had a PICC line put in there. We had to get that taken out. He's made some really good progress. We think that'll continue to move forward.
Is he cleared for spring for contact?
I don't know if he's cleared at this moment. If he continues to show no side effects, you know, he'll continue to do some things to the point where I think we could be in that neighborhood.
There's a lot made. I guess the question really was brought up about the 3-4-4-3 is you don't get many Lewis Nixes out there with the ideal prototype. And nose guard wise, I mean, you would look at Jerron, maybe Tony as your ideal fits there for the nose guard position, or is there anyone else that
No, I think those guys would be, you know, certainly in the picture to play there. You know, again, you know, when you're talking about the 3-4 defense, you know, you need size, and we've recruited some guys, you know, that we feel like are going to address some of those needs as well. So, you know, those two is certainly where you're going to start.
Thank you.
Just one question, Brian. I'm not sure you can speak on it officially, but have you decided on your fifth-year seniors, and is anybody pending kind of your recruiting class numbers?
Yeah, I think we always kind of wait until, you know, after signing day, but I think everybody knows what their status is. Let's put it that way.
Other than the 4 we know are gone, did all 6 want to return or
Yes.
petition to return? Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.